Hello. Let's do the COVID catch-up tag, a tag created by Alan over at Big Hard Books and Classics. Kind of just a tag to say, hey, we've been through what's now been like from March to March with COVID, and how are you doing? How are you doing? You should definitely check out his version of this, his original version of this tag, where he takes you around. I think it's Portland. Yes, of course it's Portland because he talks about Powell's bookstore. Also Roz at Scowl Dangling about the books. Sonia at Enthusiastic Reader. Steve Donahue and James Holder. Yeah, they all do. I think everybody's got their own kind of story to tell, and it's kind of interesting to say, hey, how is everyone doing? So the questions. Number one, when did you first hear about COVID-19? Heard about COVID-19, I think like most people, like on the news, or a lot of people on the news, sort of like December or January, about this kind of big story out of China. Locally, a lot of it talking about the Chinese community in British Columbia, especially in Richmond, British Columbia, where there's all these malls, and the local mainstream media suddenly went, "Oh, all these malls are empty. There's nobody, none of the patrons are going to them," and started noticing a lot of people wearing masks. Chinese Canadians wearing masks, and it was sort of like at the time I remember this kind of reaction, like, why are they wearing masks? And it's like, now I understand that wearing masks was a way of protecting themselves, but protecting others. And the first kind of proponents of that, and indeed that was much more of something that was done you noticed it done in the Asian communities, and you kind of always looked at it as like, are they sick or something like that? It's like, why are they doing that? It's like, they're doing it to protect you, butthead, and the wider community. So that was probably my first time that I heard about COVID-19, and that first kind of like, oh, here is in British Columbia, and all those fears of like, oh, it's going to get spread from China to here. It's like, no, of course it actually came through for at least for Canada. Most of that spread probably came from Europe and stuff like that. Um, Number two, how are things in your neck of the woods? What's open or not? Um, a lot of things are open. Maybe a little bit more to my liking, more than I'm comfortable actually partaking in. I go by malls, and they have full parking lots. It's like I go grocery shopping, but I haven't really taken advantage of much of that myself. A lot of people talk about the library in this, and it's like, yeah, the library was shut down with COVID. They do have a thing of kind of a pickup program. It was a little bit kind of difficult at that point. I think most of what I'm using for the library at the moment is the audiobook app, where I don't have to go anywhere to do that. I can just download it on my phone. Um, yes, and I think like a lot of areas, we're getting all these the variants is the next thing. These more communicable variants have come in. I'm in BC, but we've heard like in Ontario and Saskatchewan, the variants. Ones I think the one coming from Britain is the one that is now the predominant strain of COVID that is in those provinces, and is expected to kind of overtake vanilla COVID-19 here, and become the most prominent one, which is like, it's the next wave. It's like, you don't know. It's like it's like, how are we getting through it? The vaccination's coming, or you get all those I have all those worries of like, oh, we're continuing along. This is going to just be life with COVID from now on. Fortunately, how I feel. Beach reading. Any books that you are looking forward to reading after COVID? Obviously, like most bookworms, beach reading. What the hell's beach reading? I just read all the time. But probably the book that I want to go back to in a saner state of mind is going to be this one, the Mirror and the Light. I think I've talked about that a lot on my channel before, but the third in Hilary Mantel's the Thomas Cromwell series, which I read in March, in full stress mode over COVID at that point. which seems now it's like, oh, that was the easy part of COVID, really, if you look at the numbers. Yeah, that's probably my beach read, as such as it is, when, when after, or, or whenever the next stage of living with COVID is. Number four, what book have you read in these last months, directly or indirectly, because of COVID? I think the one that I've read, probably it's indirectly, has been Shit Actually, pardon my French, the definitive 100% objective guide to modern cinema by Lindy West, which was her. It was a collection. Some of these were collections of essays that she had done on movies going back to, I think, 2012. But it really kind of caught that thing of like, oh, we're in lockdown, and let's watch stuff, let's binge stuff. And one of the things we binge is kind of the old movies, like, movies that are like 20 years older. And Lindy West has her meter for how good a movie was using the text of The Fugitive, Harrison Ford's The Fugitive. So it's how many DVD boxes out of 10, how many DVD boxes of The Fugitive out of 10 does a movie rate? Love Actually gets a good drubbing, and is kicked down to, I'm pretty sure, just one DVD box out of 10. She does a really good job of taking that apart. Face Off, Top Gun, American Pie movies, all these movies that in some ways or another she actually likes. Bad Boys 2, I think, comes in for a good kicking too. But it's like, they're movies that she both she finds lots of stuff wrong with them, but also loves them at the same time. And it's sort of, it's a good kind of a balancing thing of that, as much as, we talk about like, oh, it's problematic, so therefore it's cast aside. She's like, no, something's problematic, let's talk about it, and how that reflects the larger society. And, that's a good thing to actually talk about. But yeah, and it's peppered with little asides, because I listened to the audiobook of it, of like, oh God, what's Trump doing today kind of stuff is in there too. So it's a very 2020 book, because it's a combination of, yes, older articles, but it's got very much that feeling of 2020, the lockdown. We're all huddled in our own little garrets, and we're watching or reading stuff, and the usefulness, the use you can put through that. So yeah, that was the book that I probably read indirectly. It's an indirect book of 2020. It seemed like it really kind of captured some part of 2020 for me, in a way that I wasn't going to read books about virology and immunology and all that sort of stuff. I'd not have the concentration for it, or the emotional capacity for it, reading about the old Spanish flu or something like that. What is the best video you have made or seen during COVID? And I think for this, I just probably would talk about a group, a big group of videos that were made during especially the very beginning of COVID, where we all were isolated. We're all in lockdown and stuff like that, and we made videos talking about how we're doing. There was the wear a mask tag. There was just kind of touching base with people, and people sharing like, how freaked out and anxious and worried they were, and that kind of providing a lot of comfort. And we weren't trying to hopefully, I think most of the responsible people I saw said this, like, look, don't listen to me. Here are some actual scientists actually talking about stuff like that. But here, let me tell you about how I'm feeling. And then, that sharing from, people like Sean the Book Maniac, Steve Donahue, Roz, Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading, Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verse, Brian at Bookish, and a lot of other people who just kind of shared where they were. And that was a really important thing for me. That really helped me. That was a great comfort. Not everybody was calm, and that was fine because I was freaking out too. And it was like, okay, we're both freaking out. And strangely, that kind of helped me calm down in a way, which, is the best use of a mob that kind of talks some sense into each other and just is like, okay, Jay, okay, calm down, just get a grip, we're gonna get through this, we're gonna truck through this. And yeah, I think that's what I found. That was the best group of videos that really made a difference in my life in during times of COVID, which I'll probably add getting to watch everybody's version of this video to that list of stuff that's just, that's important. That's really important. Number 6, are you going to have the vaccine? Yes, definitely going to have the vaccine. I'm a support worker at a group home, and as such, that puts me higher up on the list. In BC, we've been going through it by age group. Just recently, we've gotten a little bit more into, people who have immunocompromised situations, and that actually is very good for my household, because that means that Ja, who has some of those medical issues, is going to be able to get her first shot as well. We're all getting our first shots in BC. They've decided to get everybody to have their first shot and to space out the shots like 4 months. And there is debate over that, one way or the other. I don't know. I am just gonna, that's what's on offer, so I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna very much take it. So at this point, through my workplace, I filled out the form, and hopefully soon I will get a call setting up an appointment, and I will most definitely go for that appointment and get that, because I feel like I'm, that's the way to help protect my family around me, which is really, really, really important to me. Yes. And number 7, tag people. This is, I think, because of what the kind of the emotional content of this tag is, it's like I'm going to mention people. If those people feel for whatever reason, nope, that's not good for me at the moment, fine. And if you're somebody who's like, hey, I'd like to do that tag, and I don't mention you, please do this tag, because I think it for the people it helps, it's great. And for the people who's like, it's not my time to do this at the moment, that's also great. So I'll tag Juan Valencia, Michael K. Vaughn, One Book, One Review, and Mike Frost, who I just want to check up from, see how Mike's doing. I haven't heard from him for a while. The postmodern poet, the postmodern poet, I'll say it, poetry critic poet, Mike Frost. I would just love to hear a checkup from him if he's about. If not, definitely just check out the videos that he's left us, which are quite awesome. All right. Thank you, Alan, for the making this tag. No one's tagged me. I just grab things when I want them, and hopefully that's not horribly rude. But yeah, thank you for making this tag. It's a good time for it. That year mark. It's like, okay, let's do a check-in. How am I doing? Like everybody else. All right. More videos later.